Welcome to the first episode of Minimal Movement, the challenge where I try to play games while pressing the least amount of buttons possible throughout our gameplay. If we press any of these buttons, I will add a point to our total counter. We are allowed to hold onto a button for as long as we want, and menus and cutscenes count towards our total score. So our counter will start when we see the startup screen. If we wait a little while, we can skip a button press on the warning screen and the screen telling you to turn the Wiimote sideways, making our starting presses 3. The least amount of levels needed to beat the game is 15, making 4 presses in World 1, 6 presses in World 5, and 5 presses in World 8. I will add this number to the counter before we start playing, so I won't have to remind you guys 15 times that we have to press a button to enter a level. Just to clarify, if there are other ways to do actions in-game without needing to use a pressable button, it will not count towards our final counter. So let's say if I was playing Splatoon, I wouldn't count moving around as a press since I'm not pressing down any buttons, but if I press down the joystick to use my special move, it will count. Anyways, with all that out of the way, we can start the game. After the first cutscene is finished, we're sent to World 1. This world already presents us with a problem since we have to press right to move to level 1. But as I said earlier, only physically pressable buttons count. So if we look at all the viable methods of playing, we can see that we can play with up to 4 Wiimotes, but right next to the Wiimote, we see a nunchuck, which has a joystick instead of a D-pad, allowing us to move to 1-1 without pressing any buttons, besides the button we just used to get into the level. 1-1 starts off pretty well. We can walk around and then, that is a Goomba. How can we avoid this obstacle? Well, my first thought was to jump over it, and that's exactly what I did. If you're playing this game with a Wiimote, you're able to shake the controller and Mario will perform a jump. This jump can one-shot Koopa Troopas, and you can also gain height like a normal jump if you keep shaking the controller. So now our main options for moving are using the joystick on the nunchuck as our movement, and shaking the Wiimote to jump. I'm gonna be honest, I think with this moveset we might not even need to press any buttons during the actual gameplay. Anyways, 1-1 starts with the Goombas we jumped over and then this pipe that I fell into by accident. You can easily get out of this area by going to this pipe on the right side of the screen, and it'll take you to these 3 pipes. I jumped off the first one and fell into this little pocket, and I immediately jumped out of it and jumped over the next pit. I thought it was going to be impossible to jump over since I failed so badly on the first time, but it all worked out in the end, I guess. I jumped on this Koopa afterwards and spun up these stairs. After grabbing the checkpoint flag, I grabbed a Propeller Mushroom and quickly realized that I had just unlocked the most important item in this run. This power-up allows us to get both height and distance when we shake the Wiimote. This also allows us to not immediately stomp out a Koopa if we need to use its shell or go to hard-to-reach places. The rest of this level was a breeze to complete, and with that, 1-1 is possible to complete without pressing a single button. 1-2. This level starts above ground, and you can easily slide down this hill and spin jump to reach this pipe going into the actual stage. The pipe leads you to the underground, and we could just propeller through this first section. After flying over these piranha plants, we can reach this section where we can break some blocks so we can fly over these other blocks. All we have left to do is be careful around these piranha plants so we can make it to the end of the level. 1-3. We're introduced to some hammer bros, which are pretty easy to avoid if you wait for them to get out of our way. This level is pretty open, so we're able to fly over pretty much everything, even the level itself. If you make it up to this area, you'll find a pipe that leads to the secret exit. This secret exit opens up a cannon, but before we can enter it, Toad has to give us a letter. Oh. We need to press a button to close this letter, so that'll be our 19th button press. After we take this cannon to reach World 5, we are met with a text box that asks us if we want to save our game. Now, this is another unavoidable button press, unfortunately, but as long as we don't save, we'll only need to press the button one more time for our 20th press. 5-1. This level will have us fly over some piranha plants throughout the level, and they aren't too difficult to get through. We also have to use these vines to get to the next area, which we could just propel over. This final area gives us a bit of a challenge though. We will need to push this wheel to the end of this pit of water. If we fall off, we will not be able to swim back up since it'll use a button press of course. And on top of all of this, we have to get past all these piranha plants shooting these spike balls at us. They'll eventually fall down and that will be when we can pass through to get to the flagpole, making 5-1 possible. I ran into the piranha plant on the world map, but this stage was unreasonably easy to beat. After that battle, we had to pick between levels 5-2 and 5-3. I chose 5-3 because it was more open and I thought it would be easier with my propeller suit. I remembered that this level has these dudes with really long legs, so I had to be careful not to accidentally crash into them while flying around. The end of the level also had this really fast guy that's pretty easily avoidable by standing on the part he'll be going over. After we pass him, we'll be able to get rid of this guy and complete the level. World 5 Castle. This level is actually way easier than I thought it would be. All we had to do is use our propeller to get to the top of the castle, and I didn't seem to find any problems coming up. But the fight with Iggy was pretty scary since I tried to get above him every time he got out of his shell. It was a bit risky, but definitely possible. After this castle level, we had to press this button again for our 21st press. Our next challenge was 5-4. In this level, we had to stand on this raft to make it go to the end. But enemies fall from the sky, and if we get hit once, we'll be unable to jump onto the pipe at the end of the level since it's kind of too high up. This level is all about how long you can endure the insanity. If more than 5 enemies get on your raft, you'll be unable to move, and you will also have to take care of all the enemies who boarded your raft, which is pretty dangerous when they won't stop falling on the raft. I managed to reach the end, stomp this Koopa for good luck, and grabbed the top of the flagpole. World 5 Ghost House was pretty easy. I walked to the far right of the map, and then went to the left to get to this door. After that, I had to propel myself on the top of this floor, and then I had to do the same thing a few seconds later to reach the door. We now have to go jump through this ring of booze to reach the end, which I totally gamed at.
Yeah! Boom. That was so easy. Yeah!
We unlock the cannon upon completing this stage, and we can move on to World 8, where we can once again have to press this button, bringing us to our 20-second press. 8-1. This level is definitely the hardest level we've had so far. We have to fly through these meteors falling, avoid the enemies, and try not to touch the lava that shoots pretty high up. There are some tipping rocks that you'll need to jump from also, and this is really difficult since you're timed on how long you can stay on the rock, and when you use your propeller, you get sent to the top of the screen, which isn't a very good place to be in this level, since the meteors will be spawning at the top of the screen randomly. And on top of that, we have this dark mist following us very slowly, but this doesn't really pose any problem to us since it's actually slower than our normal walking speed. After we get past all these obstacles, we are free to reach the flagpole and get our well-earned 1-up. 8-2. This level has a secret exit that we'll need to find to skip half of World 8. And it wasn't actually too difficult to get to the pipe we needed to go in. Actually getting into this level was more difficult. And of course we got the 1-up for this level also. 8-7. The Bone Coaster level. This is going to be difficult.
Or maybe I could just damage boost. That could be a tactic. That could be a tactic. I could just get damage boosted.
As you heard, I thought damage boosting would be a good idea, but we can't really jump high enough for anything if we do this. So we're going to have to somehow jump over all of these lava falls.
Okay, we wait for the second one. Hit, and we propeller. And we go down until he goes under us. That. Oh my gosh!
Yes, I did it. I beat one of the hardest sections in the entire game without pressing a single button. The next part has us do a leap of faith to land on the next coaster, and then we need to keep spinning up and down so we can keep up with the Bone Coaster. The next area isn't too difficult, since we only need to do one difficult jump, and I got kinda lucky for this last part.
There's a second Bone Coaster. Uh-oh. I barely got saved by that. Here, come on. We got this. Come on. We got this. Oh my gosh! That entire level was possible without pressing a single button. What?
I am really surprised that that entire level was possible to beat without pressing any buttons, since I have trouble with it normally. World 8 Airship. This level has us dodge cannonballs and spin these screws to open up some paths to walk on. Since we're unable to run though, we have to kind of cut it really close so we can reach the boss fight at the end of the level. We also had to do this insane trick jump to get to the end, which I thought was pretty cool.
Wait, I got this. That was like a trick shot, what the heck?
The Bowser Jr. battle wasn't too difficult if I'm gonna be honest. All we really had to do was just ground pound the shaky floor to hit Bowser Jr.'s clown car 3 times. And that was it. We can now move on to the final level in the game. I wonder if we're actually gonna be able to beat this level without pressing a single button. I feel like we probably can since we just finished this horrible level a little while ago. But I guess we can't be sure until we try. We also had to press a button for the 23rd time because we were asked if we wanted to save again. Of course, I didn't want to. This level starts out pretty okay at first. You just have to dodge these potaboos and then walk carefully around these spinning fire bars so we can make it to the next part of the level. This section is probably the easiest part in the entire level because all we have to do is spin from platform to platform until we see the pipe. Once we enter this pipe, it'll be time for the final battle. This might be challenging, but I think I can do it. Just like how I thought I could beat New Super Mario Bros. Without pressing right, which you should totally watch after this video since you'll never guess some of these strategies I used to make it through the entire game. Anyways, you should probably subscribe right now to give me good luck on this upcoming battle, which we can just win by flying over Bowser. Now for the real battle. I think you could have probably guessed it, but Bowser turns big, once again. And now we have to use the fireballs he spits at us to make a path to the finish. This was honestly not too difficult for the first half, since I could just use my propeller suit whenever his fireballs came close to me. I did get really close to this fireball though, but I somehow dodged it. The second half of this battle gives us a lot of moving platforms to stand on, and the propeller suit makes it so much easier to navigate through since we could just float down to whatever platform we want. After going under this wall, I got hit with a fireball, and I didn't think I needed the propeller suit since we could just go high up on these platforms.
Uh-oh. Not good. Oh my gosh, I don't need it, I don't need it. I'd need it.
But after that little hiccup, I was able to say that we can beat New Super Mario Bros. Wii with only pressing 23 buttons in total, from opening the game to finishing it. And in the gameplay sections, we didn't even press a single button. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed and I hope you like this new series so far, and you should probably subscribe if you want to see more. Anyways, that's all I got.